Today I'm going to show you how to pass data between two views using binding in SwiftUI. Before I walk you through the starter project, let me show you what I mean by passing data between two views with binding. So here I have my main view here in the simulator, and you see a nighttime view, and there's also a daytime view with a blue background and a cloud that you'll see, later. But the idea here is you would tap change time of day, and you can either tap make day or make night, and that would update this view here. I'm kind of slowly sliding the modal down, right? So you're passing the data. Specifically, it's a Boolean called isNight to change the background in the image, but you're passing it from this modal to this main view, and it's going to update the main view even though the information happens on the modal. So that's what I mean by connecting two views via a binding. Okay, so that's the principle. Let's actually make it happen, because right now when I tap make day, nothing happens. That's what we're going to fix. Okay, so a real quick rundown of the starter project just to catch you up here. Here's that isNight Boolean I was talking about, right? So you see isNight is true. So on the right here in the preview, we get the nighttime. But if I make isNight false, you'll see, hit resume on the preview, we get the daytime version, right? So that's what I mean by we're going to change the time of day between the two views. So let me change that back to true. In this basic view here, we have a Z stack. That way I can get the color background. You can see based on isNight, I make the background black or system blue, right? Night or day. In the V stack, my time of day image and my button label. Let's talk about that real quick, because this is the only custom stuff that I've made. So time of day image, which is this moon and the stars. You can see here, all it is just an image with all the modifiers on it, right? Resizable, rendering mode, aspect ratio, frame. I just refactored it out so I could have just, one line here. And you see we pass in the name of the image, which is moon stars fill or cloud sun fill based on, isNight. And then same thing with the button label here, the other custom object. I just basically this green button you see here, right? We have the frame, the background color, we pass in the color, we also pass in the title and the image. Basically just again, refactored out the styling so I could just have one line here. And then here we are presenting the sheet to show the change time of day view. And then change time of day view is just those two buttons that you saw there. Again, we're reusing our button label. Now you see why I refactored it out, so I didn't have that 3 times. And then when you tap the button, we dismiss the modal. But here's where we're going to actually make some magic happen. So let's talk about this now. The content view, right? We want to change this isNight variable on the content view. However, the action happens on the change time of day view. So that's the connection we got to make, right? So what we need to do is have a binding to isNight. Again, binding kind of like connects the two variables, right? So we want to pass a binding to isNight to the change time of day view. So to do that, we'll create @binding var isNight, and then that is going to be of type Boolean. We don't give it an initial value because a binding, you have to pass in the value. And then let me update our preview real quick, because now when we're doing our preview, it's going to expect the isNight parameter. And then in the previews for binding and stuff like that, you can do .constant, and then we're going to pass in false. That's just kind of to give it a default value and to make the preview happy. But now what we have a binding to isNight. So now when we create our change time of day view right here in our sheet, it's telling us, hey, we're missing that isNight parameter. So now when we're passing a binding to this other view, we have to have it in the initializer, right? So we initialize a change time of day view with a binding to isNight, right? So we want to pass the binding to .isNight. So this binding is what makes the connection that on change time of day view, now when we tap a button, we have a connection to this isNight. However, we need to change it when appropriate, right? So we have this button. You can see our make night button. So we want to have isNight equal true on when our make night button is tapped. So isNight equals true. And then down here on our make day button, we want to have isNight be false, right? Because we want it to be day. isNight equals false. So what we do here, when we tap the button, we're making the isNight Boolean on our change time of day view false. However, it is a binding to our content views isNight. So this will also update to false, which will again trigger the redraw on this screen and make this the day view. So again, our two screens are bound, on this isNight variable. So when we update it on the change time of day, it's also going to update on the content view. Let's run it in the simulator and see it in action. So we're tapping change time of day, and we have our binding to the isNight variable. So now when I tap make day, we're making isNight equal false. There you go. Now we're getting the day. If I tap change time of day, say make night, now isNight is going to be true, and now it updates on the other screen. So that is a very simple example of passing a Boolean in this case between the two views. However, it doesn't have to be a Boolean, right? We could be passing a string. Let's say on this modal, we want to have the user like enter their name or something like that. And we want the name to update on the main screen. Well, now you would pass a binding to a string. This could be a binding to an integer. You could have an enum in here. Maybe we had changed time of day and we had like early morning, late morning, early afternoon, dusk. We had like 5 different times of days. Well, now we could have like an enum that we pass back and update that. So I want to be clear, it doesn't have to be a Boolean. This is just a very basic example to illustrate the concept. Now, one quick disclaimer, because you can see this could be a slippery slope, right? What if you had other views on this screen and now you're passing binding down 3 and 4 layers? Like, you could do that. You could pass a binding down 5 views in the view hierarchy. That's not recommended. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. In my opinion, if you're passing it down more than one level, like this is one level, right? Now, if we had a view on this modal where we needed to pass is night down again, that's when you might want to start looking into an environment, which is a different topic for a different video. But just know that if you find yourself passing a binding down 4 screens, you should probably rethink that and consider environment. Just keep this to like going down one level. So that's binding in SwiftUI. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my teaching style, my presentation style, I started creating my own courses at the website you see here. There's also a link in the description. You can watch the first 10% of each course for free to get a feel for it. Again, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next one.